This is the Between Shadow Society Season 2, Part 8. Let's take a look at our threats. We currently have 3 active threats: the Whateley Camera, the West End Wraith, and the Shoreditch Slugger. I'm not going to recap Whateley and West End, except to say that you have 7 clues on a complexity 8 right now for the Whateley Camera, and you have 1 clue on a complexity 4 for the West End Wraith. And the Shoreditch Slugger is the one that happened, the brand new one. And we saw Graves and some checking that out, basically getting involved in this underground fight club called Bout Club. And they had a bout with each other in order to show that they belonged. D.I. Pettigrew apparently is there. Did not meet the Shoreditch Slugger, but you did get 2 clues on either complexity 2 or 6. The 2 is mostly just to discover the source of the slugger's power. It has no bearing on actually resolving the threat. And then the complexity 6 is actually resolving the threat by learning the slugger's weakness. So, and taking a look at the hunters. Miss Blakely has 2 conditions. Mr. Graves has 2 conditions. Some has 1, and Miss Everly Gray has 1. So you're actually all in pretty decent shape as far as that goes. And it's maybe a good chance to check in on Mask of the Past and things as well. Miss Blakely, you of course are pretty far along because we've had your character for so long. Mr. Graves is actually doing okay. Only 3 marks so far. Some only has 1 mark. Miss Everly Gray has 4, a little further along than the others. And in terms of the mastermind, you have 8 mastermind clues, which puts you at about a little over halfway there towards confronting Admiral Flag. So let's go ahead, and if there's no other questions or anything, we'll just pick right up with what we were doing last time. I do want to remind myself, I know basically the women spent the evening at the Society Obscura, and Some and Graves were at the Shoreditch Slugger. That was basically how the night phase went, right? So yeah, great. I've got all the threats pulled up. We don't have to introduce anything new because we have 3 active ones. So let's go around the table and find out what everybody wants to do today. Miss Blakely.
I actually haven't thought about it yet. I could do with getting rid of a condition. Wouldn't mind finding a few more clues about I feel like we're getting pretty close to solving the Whateley Camera. So I think that's kind of where I'm heading. Clearing condition.
It would be nice to wrap that one up as well. It's been around a while.
Dealing with the Society Obscura. Maybe saving what's her face.
Especially because it seems like Admiral Flag is clearly aware of Society Obscura and is maybe like,
that's what we were going to do. Blakely and Artemis, we're gonna sort of team up to get on Flag's side. I think that was kind of the plan, to have Artemis Everly Gray cozy up to Flag a little bit. Not in like that way, unless you want to, go for it, girl. But sort of, yeah.
Legendary smoke show, Admiral Flag.
I just assumed that, okay, he's really old, but he's probably hot because he's an evil mastermind.
Not, no.
All evil masterminds are hot. That's just how it works, right?
He's described as toad-like in the text.
Well, you just ruined my mental image. Sorry, Matt, broke you. So yeah, I would like to deal with the Whateley Camera and clear condition, and if we want to try and
do that,
manipulate Flag into stuff, good luck to us.
Let's keep going around the table for a bit. Let's go to Ms. Everly Gray. What do you think about today?
Well, I mean, definitely to do vulnerable move for sure, but she's actually, I mean, after Society Obscura and the guys being at the bout club venue. I imagine that she's going to probably go and meet Graves in his room, and like have some absinthe ready and probably some like alcohol or just something to, to kind of help patch him up. She assumes that it's gonna be a bit amusing.
That sounds good
to
to
see
me.
him come back.
Graves, what do you have planned for today?
Yeah, I think a vulnerable scene with Miss Everly Grey makes sense, where I'm sure Graves is sporting a few new bruises from his bout with some. After that, I'm open to suggestions, but some kind of investigation of sorry, I'm catching up on the threats. I'm a bit behind this morning.
We'll take a look for a moment. And Sam, what do you think for today?
I think Some is planning on visiting the music hall once again during the day to get up in the rafters. If anybody else is thinking of going there, perhaps a vulnerable scene could happen along the way or before heading there. But if not, that's all right.
Or maybe Graves could go with, and we could separate and investigate from two different ends once we get there.
Do we want to do that scene with Everly Grey and Graves first, then at Hargrave House? That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's your vice, Mr. Graves, so go ahead and frame the scene up.
Yeah, I think perhaps this might even be not so much in the morning, but in the night after they've got back from their various adventures of the evening, and Graves is settling himself down, nursing his new bruises and cuts and scrapes from the beating that Sun gave him, and I'm sure preparing himself a little dose of absinthe. And there's a knock on the door.
And Artemis will open the door slowly and look in and look at you. And I saw you stagger in just a few minutes ago. Is it all right if I come in?
Of course, Artemis, please.
I wasn't asking you, Graves. And she looks towards Morven.
I think the crow gives you a kind of a beady-eyed look and then turns away, but makes no protest.
Thank you. And she has like a little bag of stuff, kind of like what she had when she was with Some the other morning, trying to break down targets. But I mean, it's got bandages in it and like liniment and all that kind of fun stuff. So she'll bring that in, and then she'll settle down wherever you've settled down. Either, you have a table, you have your bed, I don't care. I mean, it's basically she's going to be looking at you and wondering, so your opponent gave you quite the punch, did he?
My opponent was Mr. Some. He's a remarkable physical specimen, it has to be said.
How are you not dead? He's taken down an entire tree.
I think he was pulling his punches a little, thankfully.
Thank the gods. Absolutely. And she pulls out the liniment that she has, and she starts trying to clean up your hands, because those are the ones that look like pretty bad, but you look like you have a couple of bruises on your face. And she'll get up real close and then kind of look you over. Does that hurt? And she will press really hard on them.
I'm quite used to a certain amount of discomfort, Miss Everly Grey, Artemis. I find it helps to distract me from other things at times.
Wouldn't happen to be some of that darkness I've tasted before, would it?
I think he just nods towards you and raises his glass, takes a sip.
Yes. I experienced a little bit of something like that tonight. And I'm not sure how to deal with it, I suppose.
You were at the society with Miss Blakely.
Thank goodness, no. We shared a carriage ride, and that was about it. That was all I could tolerate. No, I went through, well, my usual skulking self went through the back and through windows. Amazingly getting inside instead of outside this time. But no, I mean, it's quite disturbing things there. And almost no living person? I mean, I saw something. And she will get closer to you and actually try to take a sip of, like, your glass of absinthe, because it's like, yeah.
I think Graves will happily share. Yeah.
Basically, I saw something there that reminded me of a memory that I would have preferred to forget. And I don't know what this means for me in the future.
Something you recognized.
Let me ask you something. Do you believe that to understand the darkness, you have to accept it as part of yourself?
I would interject and say this might be like the question that you're getting as your bonus if you choose that, Mr. Graves. Like, it sounds a little bit like she's asking about your past.
It's kind of leading into his Dawn question as well with the supernatural counseling thing. So
think on it for a bit.
Yep.
Miss Blakely, what are you up to right now?
I go visit my cathedral before I go to visit the Society Obscura once more. It's been a long time since I've gotten into my cathedral, and maybe there's somebody there that can help me out. You never know.
Yeah, did you have anybody in mind that you are hoping to run into?
You know who we haven't seen in a while, who is a follower of mine? The Snow Queen.
Oh, we have not seen the Snow Queen in a while.
And I was thinking, how fun would it be to run into her?
Yeah, it's definitely not the season, but she might still be the Snow Queen, I guess.
Once you're the Snow Queen, you're always the
Snow Queen. Yes,
Yeah.
Snow Queen for life. Yeah, I think so. What we know about the Snow Queen is that she is she's a street person. She wears a Christmas wreath as a crown, and she is. It's been strongly suggested, though, that she's also a creature from the Fey realm, or might be connected to it in some way. We don't know for sure, but she has been hanging around the cathedral quite a bit, and I guess I would ask everyone, as I paint the scene question, how has the cathedral changed by the presence of the Snow Queen as of late?
I think the once beautiful stained glass windows are kind of mired in a layer of frost, so that the light coming through is obscured and made hazy.
There's a subtle scent of the burning of pine trees, specifically pine.
You don't know where they're coming from, but at different points of the day, you'll see dried flower petals blowing against the cathedral walls.
In the courtyard, there is a large flock of birds that are on the ground that she will occasionally move around in as she holds court.
I love it. She will see you, and she says, "Is this a new bit of statuary that is to be added to the sept? So lifelike. Truly remarkable and striking work," she says as she sort of circles you. "Or could it be, my lady?"
Oh, your highness, you always know how to flatter.
She says, "Oh, you need not adorn me with titles, Miss Blakely. I am, well, I am a queen without a crown, aren't I? A sovereign without a throne.
Honestly, these days I feel very similar.
Oh, really? I didn't want
Perhaps
to.
you can assist me, actually.
Yes, yes. How so?
I'm feeling the need to tie up some loose ends in my life. One of which happens to be a problem with a local photography club of sorts. They've, well, I've been trying to get to the bottom of the situation there, and they have not been cooperative. And you, well, you certainly know your way around people getting what you want without them realizing that's what you're doing.
Yes, I am frequently underestimated. It is true. And she sort of like begins to like spin in place, like twirling around the sept of the cathedral. And almost like you're a planet, or you're the sun and she's a planet rotating around you, right? And she says, "It would bring me great joy to help you in this matter. What would you have me do?"
That's a good question.
Think on it. Let's go to
I'm
Sam.
going to.
Well, Sam, what might you be doing while we're waiting on Mr. Graves?
I think he's standing out on the street for a very long time trying to get a carriage. And it's not working.
Yeah, oh, poor Sam. I think you're probably on the square, right? And you will see someone coming out of, actually, no, you will overhear. You will overhear singing coming from Admiral Flagg's mansion. A great song sung by a dozen or more voices at least, very hearty. We've heard the song before. Well, maybe you all haven't, but we as players have heard it. But the words are muffled because it's coming from the inside of the building. Nevertheless, it sounds very celebratory in its way. What do you do?
Does it seem like it's coming from like up high on a higher floor or like on the ground level?
No, down below, actually, which is why you
Oh,
can't
from
make out the
underneath.
words. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Is there like, is it the kind of house that would have basement windows?
Yes, we'll say it does. Yeah.
Okay, then I'd probably just like shuffle over there and kind of stoop down, put an elbow on one knee and look down, see if I can't see anything. Not like, breaking into my neighbor's house, but just kind of peeking.
You hear over your shoulder as you're hunkered down. a woman's voice. You know, I can help you. I can exercise my particular talents to make you more comely, more presentable in society. It wouldn't be any trouble. I would welcome the challenge, in fact.
Turn and face whoever the speaker is.
You see a woman, quite beautiful in her way, wearing a very, very stylish sort of like white bustle dress, black gloves, and a bonnet. She says, it would be no trouble at all, in fact. I could do the procedure. Well, I have a little bit of time today, in fact. Could make some adjustments, tighten up things that need tightening.
Does she have a face?
Yeah.
Does it look destroyed by fire?
No.
I don't believe I've had the acquaintance, ma'am.
She says, She says, we shall be very informal for now, sir. My name is Catherine. And she puts out her hand.
And I'll offer my very large and cold and fish-like hand for her to place it in. And touch my lips to her knuckles.
She says, yes. You have a very eloquent manner of speech, and you clearly were taught manners by your parents. And I think that it would be a fine endeavor to make the exterior match the interior, don't you?
I don't know that I would. I've undergone a great deal of medical procedures in my short life, and I don't relish the thought of more. But please, tell me, you are a cosmetologist? Is that what they call the sort that works on the exterior?
I am something of an innovator in the fairly new medical art of cosmetic surgery.
Fascinating. And you work around here?
No, I was just calling on an old friend. But here, take my card. And she gives you a cream-colored card with gold lettering and an address. It's that address that you were at that one time.
I do believe I visited this residence once before, ma'am. There was nobody about.
I'm sure that's not possible, but it must be a mistake of some sort. Nevertheless, you are welcome to visit for the first time, if you wish. Well, I must be going now. And I'm going to give you a condition that is going to be we'll just call it the invitation for now. And she leaves. Let's go back over to Ms. Everly Gray and Graves. Have we gotten any conditions cleared in this scene, do we think?
I mean, she's talking about it, like, her
Yeah,
hands
that's
down and just trying to talk it through.
yeah, I think that sounds good to me. And I would even probably suggest that, well, I don't know about you, Graves. I was
thinking about marked by the entity, because
Yeah.
he's what we were just getting into now is him starting to give her some advice.
Let's have
on
that scene then. Let's do it. Let's keep
Yeah.
it going. Yeah, let's keep it going. Question posed. Go for it.
Yes, Artemis, I rather do think that the darkness is within all of us, and we must plumb those depths if we mean to know the truth.
But what if it means that you reach too far and then you cross a line? What then? And she's looking right at you when she's asked this.
There's always a risk. But is it better to shy away from discovery or to risk losing yourself in the process?
Well, the hunt is all about discovery, so I guess in my case I'm still in that process. But I don't know. Go ahead.
Tell me if this entity or this presence you felt. Perhaps I can discern something.
It demanded a sacrifice. I felt it was urging. It ended up being a photograph that was being taken, I suppose. But I could feel that brink of it wanting that particular feeling or urge, I guess. I mean, it was just, again, it just reminded me of something I would rather not have tried to imagine. So.
You can tell me, Artemis. I'm sure I've seen much in my time in this little that would shock or dismay me.
When you are tied to darkness, sometimes the pull can be a little bit too strong, and then it appeals to your more bestial nature. So, I fear that part. And it has a lot to do with my curse, but I don't know if it has any bearing on what you've experienced, but
there is definitely a bestial side within, well, I can only presume within everyone. I feel it's pulled too. These entities that I find myself surrounded with. At times I try to hold them at bay, and at times I invite them in.
Did you invite them in when you were fighting some?
No, I fear if I had, I may have ended up hurting him more than I intended. Or hurting him at all. He seems quite unscathed.
That's his kindness protecting him. That's him being more human. So, I'm sorry. I'm talking your ear off. I should be tending to your your bruises and your wounds. And she proceeds to wrap your knuckles up with some of the bandages and pats some of the liniment on your bruises.
We can talk as you tend to me.
It feels good. Yep. Let's go back over to Ms. Blakely. Ms. Blakely, per giveth, as long as you give Snow Queen something from your personal quarters, she'll do whatever you wish.
Yep.
No questions asked. So are you going to do that? And if so,
I
what do you want?
I am going to hold out the giant flawless pearl that I have from, think.
It was from the Creature of Criminal Gardens.
I think it was the creature, yeah. And hold it in front of the Snow Queen. What I need you to do for me is to find something on the Society Obscura, something that I could force them to tell me what they know. They're not being very cooperative, and I could use your assistance in making sure that they will be.
She says, "Of course, Miss Blakely." And she takes the pearl. "What a magnificent gift. I shall treasure it always. And I shall do as you wish."
In addition, should you have time and ability, if you could find out anything on an Artemis Everly Grey, I would be very, very happy to have that information as well.
The name is known to me, Everly Grey. And she puts the pearl away. She says, "Do you think that you might someday be at the wrong end of an Everly Grey's crossbow bolt?"
Oh, she wishes. No, I don't believe that'll happen.
And
But I do need a little more information to understand exactly why she's so antagonistic towards me.
she smiles and she twirls off. And she'll deliver some kind of information by the dusk phase. Let's fast forward with Sun and Mr. Graves. It doesn't look like we really need the vulnerable scene anymore, so I think we should go straight to the theater if that's okay. But we'll put you
We
at the
both need
doorstep.
one now.
What?
We both need one now. So.
Oh, did you just pick? Oh, you just picked one up. That's right, you did. That's fair. But Mr. Graves only has one condition, I believe.
If you're allowing me to clear the end,
You can clear the entity. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. But I'm happy to do a vulnerable scene with Sam if it would help him clear something.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think it's just a short one.
Go
Mhm.
ahead.
So just on the carriage ride, I think as soon as you come out and hail a carriage, it shows up. I'm just like put out by it. But as we're riding there, do you find yourself having the attention of people, perhaps people of society, when you don't want it?
Not so much people, but I certainly seem to draw attention. Are you?
I certainly draw attention, but look at this. And I hold out the invitation. Does this look familiar to you?
I think it does. Did we not see these before?
I think we have
What is-
seen the very same.
What has happened, Sam? Have you encountered one of these people again?
Someone was poking around outside our house next door. Someone called themselves Catherine.
And what did she say?
The same thing that was said to me before by the same one or similar person that gave me this one. Although that was a young boy who invited me to that horrible place.
And
I
the
would
address is
appreciate
the
it.
same.
It is the same. It's the same card.
The address is not the same. The exhibit.
Oh,
was
it's not
at-
the same.
at a
Mm.
at a warehouse in Whitechapel, but you know the address because you researched this before. Yeah,
Oh, okay. No, it's
the
different
address
address.
is the townhouse. Is the townhouse that you thought you were finding her in that one time.
That's right. That's right. I visited this place. No one was there. The previous card had the warehouse. Nevertheless, there is no one there.
Or there was. Perhaps that has changed.
Perhaps so. But I sense that this business is not done, though we have nothing further to do with it at the moment. And I will have nothing to do with this. I don't appreciate these people who come out and he just starts tearing the card up.
Very good, very good. Well, that's destruction as well. So if you want to stumble on a clue or invite Mr. Graves to ask you a question about the past, you certainly can.
Yeah. Let's just stumble on a clue as we're approaching the place.
You can go ahead and define it whenever you want. But for now, you are at the Palais de Gaiety. And you said your plan is to go into the area above the stage, which is called the Gods. And I think that would be, that may not be too much trouble. We'll see. Graves, what is your plan in this scene?
I think Graves is interested in trying to figure out, if there is anything supernatural he can pick up on here, because if this threat really is a wraith of some kind, some kind of haunting, then he would like to figure out if he can tap into that. So I think he's going to be maybe looking at down on the stage in the back of house, but reaching out with his sensitivity.
Very good. And let me just put everybody else in time and space. Miss Blakely, what will you do after you're done sending the Snow Queen on her errand?
I think I will probably wait until she comes back with some information for me before I go to Society Obscura again. So I think I'm going to go and try to talk to, oh goodness, who should I talk to? Bert's dead.
Yeah, for Broadswell's no more, sadly.
So I can't talk to him.
You might be able to like run into somebody else from the Society Obscura in another part of town.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go try and find somebody who would have known Atticus Whateley, like
you also have
an assistant or something.
You also have all the collected side characters as well from rewards, like Madame Sorokin, Greco, Jenny Johnston.
Oh, I'm already at the cathedral. I'm going to talk to Madame Sorokin. She's right there. She's staying in the cathedral.
Oh, that's right. She is indeed. Yeah. So you can go chat with her. That sounds good. Yeah. It's almost like your home base in a video game or something.
Yeah.
It's like all the characters are gathering there, right? Yeah.
Have a scene with there's always that cutscene in the video games.
I love it. We'll come back to that. And Ms. Everlegrave, what do you want to do for the remainder of your day, Fizz?
I am actually going to go to the Society Obscura again, but this time as myself, not dressed up, through the front door.
Very well. Okay, that all sounds good. Let's go ahead and just take our break a little early. Let's take 5, and we'll come back and do a round of scenes, and then we'll kind of wrap the day phase there. Sub and Mr. Graves, when you arrive, before anyone's aware of you, maybe you're just like maybe across the street or something, and no one can really see you yet. You do see a man at the front. He is dressed very nattily, I would say, like very, he clearly has a little bit of money, and quite a dramatic mustache and hair, coiffured, and he's having an argument with somebody out in front of the Palais de Gaiety. And I have to grab a name real quick, actually, give me one moment. He says, "Well, won't you at least deliver my message to Lady Pipewell? Let her know I'm out here, that I've come especially to see her today." And the person at the front is sort of like like I'll let Lady Pipewell know, right? All this kind of thing going on, and the man says, are you quite sure she's indisposed at the moment? I mean, I can certainly go check on her myself. And there's again, like, they're trying to just like get him to leave, right? Mr. Graves or Some, what do you do?
Some, you've been here before. Have you encountered this gentleman?
Was this one of the people I interviewed?
No.
Okay. This doesn't appear to be one of the stagehands. Perhaps a fan or admirer. Sir, excuse me, sir.
And this man turns around, and are you like clearly visible, Some, or?
Well, I mean, what's the lighting like in here?
Well, it's outside, so it's in the middle of the day.
We're still
so,
outside.
Yeah. So you can
okay.
You could be in an
Then, yeah.
alleyway, I suppose. But...
Well, I think I'm in full daylight then.
Okay.
Yeah, if we just stepped out of the carriage, that would make sense.
He turns around and he says, "Dear God, I'm sorry. I do apologize. I didn't realize that there were mummers from the theater wandering about the street." And he says, "Can I help you?"
My name is Graves, and this is my associate, Some.
Graves, yes. Your friend has a rather grave appearance, wouldn't you say?
I think
Give
Graves
my
just looks at him with a very straight face.
Yeah, give my most charming Some smile.
My goodness, the special effects are, well, they're quite startling. It's amazing what we can do in this century.
I'm afraid to say it's all quite real. And we are not mummers, but investigators. Are you perhaps an admirer of the show?
I am Robert De Vere. I am the uncle of the owner of this venue.
Oh, De Vere. Related to Lily?
Yes. Well, that is my niece. This place used to belong to my brother and sister-in-law. Oh, well, let's just say that I disapprove of them leaving this to her. This is not the sort of place that a young woman like her should be involved in. And, well, what uncle in good conscience could allow his flighty young niece to associate unchaperoned with theatrical types? Scandal.
This is the clue that I have written. And I think this might be an interesting time if we discover it. If this works. So it's the words, "Lily is no De Vere," graffitied on the ceiling.
Very good. Do you want to discover, well, so we're outside right now. Do you want to
I know, I think it's under the kiosk.
Oh, okay, very interesting. So you can see it, right? Yeah. Do you point that out or something, or what?
Yeah, I think I'm like, well, that's all very, very interesting, sir. What do you make of that?
He looks up and he says, "God, my goodness, this place is, if it wasn't for the radiant Lady Pipewell, I wouldn't even come down here. Do you know Lady Pipewell? She is a performer like the two of you."
We have made her acquaintance, yes. But
I don't think you all have, actually.
I took in a show once.
Oh, you did take a show. You saw her once. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to go, and then I didn't, yeah.
Lady Pipewell is actually a young
pleasure.
man called Billy Bowman, for what it's worth. But
Yeah. I had the pleasure of seeing a performance. Quite stunning.
She is most radiant. She is a diamond in the rough. This place is completely beneath her. I want nothing more than to transplant her from this foul soil and plant her in more fertile gardens.
So you are also an owner of a theater or music hall?
Well, not as such, but I know people and I have capital.
And you'd rather help this person than your own, and I look at the sign again, flesh and blood?
Yes, well, my dear niece can be rather incorrigible. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have to make a day of it. I don't want to. Well, I suspect you're not normally awake this time of day, are you? Those of us who have daytime business have to get about it. And he bids you adieu.
Some looks at Graves. Why do you suppose they always think I'm part of the show? And then I give a smile as if to say, I know exactly why they always think I'm part of the show.
Some, yes. It's unfortunate the judgments people spring to.
Isn't it, though? Well, I suppose they'll have to fix that graffiti now, too. I wonder how it's gone with the main curtain. Shall we have a look?
I think perhaps we should, yes. What did you make of that man?
He could be exactly as he seems. Just another soulless person trying to get what he wants out of this place, rather than appreciating the beauty that it already is.
Yes, and yet I wonder if it turns out there is no wraith, if he may not be involved somehow.
Remind me,
But as you say, let us look.
Remind me, did you all decide that the Wraith is trying to harm Mctavish?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Let's cut back over to Miss Blakely. Madame Sorokin is there. It's not her real name, of course, but that's what she'll call her. Oh, give me one moment. I'm going to open my map.
It's a good moment for me to run and open my window.
Okay. Oh, do we lose Miss Blakely?
I'm still here. I'm just
Okay.
hiding.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Madame Sorokin, I think she basically stays in, so the cathedral, as I imagine it, has like a main sept and then it has like 2 transepts on the side, right? Where there would normally be little stations of saints or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She is in the eastern transept where she's just set up like a Dark Souls NPC. She just hangs out in this little transept, right?
Yep.
And she has a little table and she's got the cards. What's the status of the mirror?
Graves has it, right?
Does Graves have it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got her cards laid out and she says, Miss Blakely, it was foretold in the cards that I would receive a visit from something very ancient. I thought it might be. Well, let's just say I thought it would come in a different form. Nevertheless, I do appreciate your hospitality these last weeks. How may
I'm
I
sure you're
assist
finding
you?
yourself very comfortable.
I find this place to be it is a place of power, I would say. My natural talents are heightened here. I find myself frequently slipping in and out of lucidity, slipping between and betwixt the veil. There is a power, and it is only heightened by your presence.
Well, I do ask that if you were to discover anything about this cathedral that may be a little more than it would seem, you would keep it to yourself.
And yet, it does appear to be that this cathedral has 2 mistresses, and I have not met the other.
What exactly do you mean by that?
She draws a card and lays it down, and it is the Empress, but the Empress is dressed not in the traditional golds and yellows and reds, but sapphire blue.
Blakely her eyes snap to the window that had appeared, a stained glass window of Theodore Brathwaite that one time that she had replaced, and snap back. I am afraid you are mistaken, Madam Sorokin. The person you speak of is dead. Quite dead.
Well, Miss Blakely, I certainly don't have to explain to you that someone being alive or dead does not have any bearing whatsoever on my ability to communicate with them.
Oh, all Blakely's plans for thinking about the Society Obscura have just gone. Well, perhaps we should speak to her now, see what she has to say for herself.
Oh, very well. And there actually is a little chair there at the table. She says, please sit. Let me cut back over to Miss Everly Gray. Miss Everly Gray, it's daytime at the Society Obscura. They are in a real weird place. They have been for a few days. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go up to the door and present myself as I am usually dressed, with my staves visible, and I'm going to go up to the door and ask to speak to the Abernathys, because I am an Everly Gray, and I'm going to use in want of privilege.
Oh, very good. When you ring the bell, the door is answered by Periwinkle, but he is wrapped up in bandages like a mummy. And he says, Miss Everly Gray, are you here to speak to my employers?
I am, and I'm so sorry to see you in this state. You were so much more entertaining when I had seen you last, unfortunately.
And his eyes, which are the only visible part of his face, they have a glimmer in them. And he says, don't worry about me, Miss Everly Gray. I am in the middle of a beautiful transformation.
Transcendence, would you say?
I'm changing.
I see. Does that also follow with your employers as well?
Please come in and have a seat, Miss Everly Gray. I shall fetch the Abernathys.
Of course, thank you.
And he goes into his little closet and shuts the door. And no one is going to get the Abernathys. You're just sitting in the main hall.
Well, looks like I might have to do some hunting around in this wonderful haunted house. Yay.
What do you do?
Damn it, I don't have Cosmic Passage yet. I'm so pissed off at myself.
Think on it.
Yeah.
So, the theater. Some getting up into the gods is no trouble. I'll let you be up there. That's fine. Mr. Graves, what are you going to do? Oh, you said you were using sensitivity to sort of.
Yeah, just to kind of see if I can pick up on any presences.
Do the information move with sensitivity. Yeah.
Okay. That's a 9.
I'll give you a clue and a complication, which is not so much a complication as much as it's just sort of foreclosing a certain idea, which is that you actually don't sense any supernatural presence at all in the Palais de Gaiety, not apart from just the normal sort of like ephemeral things that take place because London is a very, very old city, but there doesn't appear to be any particular power here. It doesn't foreclose your theories in the future about the West End Wraith, but it does definitely probably strongly implicates that things that are going on here are mundane and mortal, right? Which I think you probably already suspected, but
Yeah, I wanted to. Part of the reason Graves was here was to rule out any, especially after speaking to Devere.
yeah.
Towards him.
I do owe you a clue though, so let me take a look at the clues real fast. Let me read the ones you've got already. Lily's no Devere. The no supernatural specific presence. Actually, that's a good clue. We'll go with that as the actual clue as well. That way, it's usable information for when you do the roll. I am curious though. No, just hold that thought for now. Let's go to some. You're up in the gods. This is a paint the scene, actually. It says this is a precarious set of catwalks and rat lines running above the stage, a vertiginous distance below. Winches, counterweights, and stowed scenery festoon the space, while performers scurry about on stage like ants. Right now, they're in rehearsal, not actually performing. But as a paint the scene, and really this one seems like it's just directed at you in this case, Sam. Why are you tempted to take one final step from the catwalk? And what do you see that stops you?
I think I'm tempted to see I think it's just part of this place. I think there's like, it's just kind of a weird what do you call it? Optical illusion that the rafter continues, but it doesn't. And what stops me is when I have my foot out over open air and it goes a little bit further down than it ought to. And I have that sense of vertigo, like I'm about to fall. And I just bring that foot back and like feel kind of flushed for a moment, like what just happened.
Make the day move to keep your composure. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve or your composure?
I think I'll just like slip here on the rafter and look a fool.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll with vitality.
So 7 plus my modifier 2, I believe. 2, so 9.
9, very good. I have to tell you how you would be vulnerable. You're going to be vulnerable because the West End Wraith is going to show up here in the gods right now. If you don't want to deal with that, you have to mark a mask. Otherwise, you can deal with it.
Oh, let's do it. That sounds great.
Give me the scene. How are you? Just finish that scene of like keeping your footing.
So I think I bring my foot back and I kind of like laugh to myself, like, well, that would have been quite the entrance into the theater business, huh? There's nobody around to hear it, so I
Except you see across the way, up in the gods, a shadowy figure that says, "A fiend of the night, crawling about in the day, skulking about. What business have you here, ghoul? This is not the first time you have been here. Nay, it is the third. And I pose the question to you again. Are you here to interfere with the righteous and true progress of love?"
Sir, step forward, step into the light. Let's have a good look at you and talk as honest men.
"I think not, sir." And you see the shadowy figure. He grabs something, like some kind of like handle, say, and thrusts it down. And you feel the whole part of the catwalk you're on just plummeting down to the bottom. What do you do?
I think I just leap to be on his rafter.
Very good. Day move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
That I will knock him off, which I don't want to do.
Go ahead and roll with vitality.
Is this Caliban's Fury?
Yeah, sure. Did you roll, David? You're muted.
I think froze. It's using an online roller and it's not working.
Okay.
Come on.
We'll come back to you.
Sorry.
Mr. Graves, I'm going to put you in danger as well. The catwalk's falling, and you're right below it, Mr. Graves. What do you do?
I don't think there's much I can do other than just try to dive out of the way.
Day move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you don't?
I mean, straightforward. I'll be crushed by the falling scaffolding.
Indeed, indeed. Please go ahead and roll with vitality.
Oh boy, that's not my strong suit. And that will be a 6 total.
The catwalk falls. You look up just in time to see this black thing falling fast toward you. It caves your skull in with such velocity that your ears actually burst, or your brains actually burst from your ears, and it pushes your neck and head down into between your shoulders, and you crumple underneath it. Unless you're going to mark a Janus mask.
I believe I will, yes. So I think at the last moment, Grace is warned by some entity that still wants something from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just feels this tingling and is therefore able to sense the danger coming and leap out of the way in time.
You leap out of the way, no, not quite in time. I think part of it lands on your leg. I'm going to give you the condition. The condition is going to be, let's go hard. I think it breaks your leg, but you're otherwise alive. What was your die roll, son?
Total is 12.
Oh, good. You get a bonus as well. Go ahead and describe how you leap to the other side of the gods.
Yeah, so it was some distance. A normal human wouldn't be able to pull it off. But especially without a running start and kind of flat-footed, but some does. He leaps and doesn't collide with anything between him and where the Wraith is standing, and lands right next to the Wraith. I think it's very dark here, but he's standing there and he turns to the Wraith. Now, was that really necessary?
Hear my words, ghoul. Horror, monstrosity, and affront to all that is beautiful in this world. I will not be deterred. I will not be defeated. I will not stand for your interference. And yet I am intrigued by you, so much so that I give you a gift. And he places in your hands, you still can't make out who this person is, but he places something in your hands, and that's your bonus. It's a clue. And then he whips his cape around and disappears into the shadows.
Yeah, I think I hear a cry out from Graves.
And then you hear the screaming of Graves. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Ending this scene for the two of you. I do owe Graves a clue, though. Let me get the clue for Graves. Well, let me tell you what your clue was.
And I owe you a mask as well.
Yeah, we can do that during the dawn phase. But the clue is a stack of letters, love letters when you read them, tied with a red ribbon. That's what was pressed into your hand. And your clue, Graves, while you were roaming around, getting a sense of the place, your hand was drawn to a little crevasse in the wall where there was perhaps some, like, what do you call that, wainscoting, I guess, or whatever. And you found what appears to be a ring, an engagement ring, a woman's engagement ring.
Was it hidden in any way or just in plain?
It was kind of like tucked in a little crack in the wall, essentially. Let's go over to Blakely. Madam Sorokin says, "Are you sure you want to invite this spirit here so openly? She is quite
If
powerful."
she's meddling in my life anyway, then have her here and let's get it done with.
Very well. And I need to remind myself what is Madam Sorokin's utility as far as being a reward. That was on the...
I don't think we had one. I think we just wanted to stash her away somewhere.
Yeah, let me take a look. I don't remember if she was one or not. Oh, she is. Yeah, you get an extra clue on the information move when you seek her counsel about spiritualism and dark secrets. So yeah.
Right on.
I think
Which right now, completely, it's not Blakely's goal.
This is going to be the information move, and it's going to be with sensitivity. And I am going to, I think she has not flipped over that Empress card. I'm going to give you the condition, the Empress, and I'm going to put you at disadvantage.
Of course, that's fair. That was sensitivity?
With sensitivity. Yeah.
Okay, that is a 6. I will mark a mask of the past.
But you don't know what's happening yet.
No, I want that information. But no, let's hear what happens first. I'll probably change my mind.
She takes your hands and she almost like withdraws for a moment because like there's like an electricity when she touches you, right? She manages to keep it together. She's drawn her veil and she says, "Let us travel now, Miss Blakely. Let us travel beyond the veil. Let us peer deep into the void of the spiritual realm. Let us walk into the dark, forgotten places of the world and of our minds. Let them come together. Let us open the passage." And then you feel her tightening her hands, digging her fingernails into your palms to the point where it hurts. Do you open your eyes?
A crack.
You see the glimmer of the sapphire. Do you open them all the way?
Yeah.
You're sitting across from Theodore Brathwaite. She says, "Oh, Beryl."
Miss Blakely, if you please. But you know that.
She looks across the way at what would be a sort of like altar space at the cathedral. And she says, "Go there at your earliest convenience, Miss Blakely, and push aside the altar and walk down the stairs you see there. I will be waiting for you." And then it goes back to being Madame Sorokin.
Ah, that's so good. No, I'm still gonna mark a mask. I'm still gonna mark a mask because I want information.
That's going to happen still, but you get a clue as well. So that's the
Okay.
that's the difference. Yeah, I'll come back with a clue in a bit. I'm curious how you react though. What do you say? What do you do?
I think Blakely, she opens her mouth for a retort of some kind of acid retort. But nothing comes out, and she breaks out into a cold sweat. You're dead. You're dead. And I have your ghost, encased in a little gem. I could easily just smash it against the stones here. You know that, right?
Madame Sorokin says, "Miss Blakely, you should not smash that gem. That gem will help you and your colleagues reach the place this woman comes from, and which is even now pressing into our world." Cut to Miss Everly Grey. Miss Everly Grey, what do you do? What are you doing right now?
I'm of two minds, basically. I'm about ready to tear apart this place, but I also want to be a little bit polite first. So I will. Can I do, like, I don't know, investigation with sensitivity or something? I don't know.
You can. Yeah, just tell me how you're doing it.
So I'm basically bringing out my staves. I mean, didn't sense anything before, like, because it's not responding the same way as it did with the demon, but
which is evidence that this is not a demonic entity, right?
Correct. But it is something because Graves had sensed something.
It's definitely something. But
yeah, exactly. So, no, that's for actually fighting with them. But anyway, yeah, she wants to go to a higher floor. She's just gonna take the stairs and then, kind of get to like a center floor of this place, and then do her percussive clacks of the staves, and then like try to see if she can sense something.
Make the information move with sensitivity, and yeah.
– 11.
Good. I'll give you a clue. You hit a certain note when you reach one of the middle floors. There are 3 doorways as you come up the stairs. One here, one there, one there, equidistant from each other. All 3 doors open up at the same time. And 3 members of the Society Obscura step out. They are all dressed like Dracula's brides. White veils and gowns. And they each hold out in their hands a rod of quartz resting in their palm, offering them to you. That's your clue. And Miss Blakely, your clue was that the gem of which you speak is relevant to accessing the fragrant void. And I think with that, that concludes the day phase with Mr. Graves' broken leg and all kinds of other the West
Glad I've got some to carry me home. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just swing right over into the dusk. It was a good productive day phase.
Yeah, I think I've got enough clues for an attempt on the West End Wraith. How are y'all feeling on the Whateley Camera?
Do we need to ask more questions there, or are we going to try and actually resolve it?
I mean, basically, we have to just like figure out the circumstances, like the process for being able.
You're literally
to
creating a
access the void.
ritual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm.
I think we could. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that we don't figure out how to do it right now. Then we do it later. I think we could probably theorize on both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that idea.
So you're thinking about doing the West End Wraith as well.
Yeah.
So you have 5 clues on a 4 complexity, so that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, where should we? Since we're going to be doing 2 theorizes, then why don't we take a quick break? Take like 5. We'll come back and do it then. Okay. So we're going to do some answering of questions. Why don't we start with the one that's probably the least complicated, with the West End Wraith. Remind you of the clues, or first of all, the question. The Wraith seeks to harm. What motivates their obsessive pursuit of the target? That allows you to resolve the threat by tracking the Wraith to their lair for a final confrontation to kill or capture them. Your clues are: the Wraith is connected to the time of the previous owners when a previous performer was murdered. Lily is no Devere was graffitied on the building. No supernatural specific presence at the Play to Gaiety. There's nothing supernatural going on here. A stack of love letters tied with red ribbon. You could definitely add whatever context would be helpful for your theory on that. And a woman's engagement ring hidden in one of the walls, a crack in the wall. Well, who wants to propose?
Yeah. I think I've got a way that incorporates a lot of these, explains what's going on, but let's see what you'll think. I think my theory is that Lily Devere was supposed to get engaged and married to the person who is the West End Wraith, and it is a person. They're not a spirit. This person wrote them these love letters that referred to them already as married and gave them their last name instead. And it was this very in the right context, maybe it could have been romantic, but it got worse. How it got worse is somebody thought that this performer back in the day was more beautiful than Lily Devere. And so this person killed them. The engagement was called off, and this whole the engagement ring was Lily just hid it somewhere, whenever she found out that is what happened. And since then, this person has been kind of manically lurking in the shadows. That's my theory, and I think it accounts for all the clues.
So in that theory, does Lily know who the Wraith is?
I I think so,
And,
probably.
and she's in league with him.
No, she's not in league. She just like doesn't know what to do about it.
Right. Okay, because she came to us, of course. Yes.
So say it again. The Lily, who was originally engaged?
Lily,
Lily was engaged with this person,
the Wraith.
the Wraith. And why was the engagement called off again?
Because the Wraith killed another killed a performer back then.
Oh, I
And
see.
because people were thinking this performer was more amazing, more awesome than Lily. And so the Wraith just took it upon themselves to kill this person.
Oh, and so Lily is known to Veer is almost like the Wraith saying Lily should have my last name, right?
Right, because in the
Yeah.
letters, they always referred to
Okay.
Lily as already married to the Wraith.
I think it's, well, all the clues are easily accounted for.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, so whatever the group thinks, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if DeVere himself, that we met today, fits into that
Oh,
in any
Robert
way.
De Vere,
But
yeah,
he's,
that might be a total red herring, right? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's not a clue in him, or he's not in any clue, so we don't have to fit him in. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, actually, he was like jonesing after Lady
Lady
Pipewell
Pipewell,
more than
yeah.
anything else. I mean, he
Mm.
just sounded to me like he was more fanboy than
in
concerned
the
about his
version where the
niece.
Wraith is after Lady Pipewell and not Lily DeVere,
Yeah.
Robert DeVere probably makes more sense in that.
I think
context, right?
I think how he fits into the context is like there's a good chance the Wraith will come for him next.
I was thinking, yeah, exactly. He could be the target of the Wraith because he's talking down Lily.
Right, he's talking bad, and he's gonna take resources from, or he's trying to take resources from Lily. So he's a prime target.
But we've just established that the Wraith is trying to harm Lily. Like, what is the harm being done? Or what he's trying to do? Or is it just just tormenting her, basically?
I think it's tormenting and a coercive, like you will be mine, possessiveness.
Right.
Yeah, or even a kind of, if I can't have you, no one will.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
well,
and then the love never dies on the curtain. I mean,
Yeah,
all the circumstantial stuff
Yeah.
is like,
I think
being
Big
acceptable
time
for the fact
creepy
that
guy behavior.
Yes.
Yeah,
big
I think it's
stalker
not you will be
behavior.
mine. It's you are mine,
right.
regardless of your feelings on the matter. Like,
Mine to scare or love or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good theory. If no one objects, we can roll dice. It'd be a +1. So
Go for it, David.
Go over, yeah,
Okay.
David, it's your theory.
Yeah.
Roll away.
why don't things work? All right. Y'all be thinking about the next theory while I try and get this thing to work. Sorry.
you don't have dice.
No, I left them in the other room again because I forgot.
You can go get them.
I'm sorry.
We can discuss the next theory. It'll probably take a
Oh,
while.
I can
How
roll
do
for
you
you.
not have dice?
It is not unheard of. I mean, just nobody has like your box, okay?
What's happening?
Well, what about this other theory? This other one is really like the Whateley camera is. It's just pure
Mind-bending.
bizarro
Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
it's
yeah,
mind-bending.
right.
Although I
So-
do have a sort of
procedure.
procedure around it. Yeah, I think so. And it's like procedure for it to happen.
Okay, let's get the die roll
Yeah.
quick. David,
Sure.
what you got?
8.
8. Yeah, that will be correct. There will be a complication. It means that the Weston Wraith will fight you. I will say this might be your last opportunity to use the Mask of Comedy and Tragedy. It's 2 mask opportunities, so 2 people can choose it, which means to bump the die roll, only 2 of you would have to mark your own Janus masks if 2 of you choose the Mask of.
I'll mark a I'll mark a mask.
I'll
if,
mark
if,
them out. Yeah.
Okay.
Which one do you want?
What do you mean? Oh, I'm not going to mark one of the.
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to mark my own mask.
I would
He's
wanna
offering
mark-
to mark past or
Okay.
future. Yeah.
Okay, I would want to mark one of the comedy or the tragedy one. So,
I I would like to mark a comedy or tragedy just because I don't have that many masks left.
Okay.
So
Which one do you
Graves,
want?
are you okay with marking past or future?
Yeah, I already owe you one, and I had a future in mind for that. So I guess I can do a past for this.
Okay.
Although my next past one is one I haven't really worked out clearly yet, but I can do that.
You can do it in the dawn phase as well. You don't have to do it right away.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, in that case, who's taking comedy and who's taking tragedy?
Um,
Do you want to know what they do?
Yes, if you don't
I
mind.
know what they do.
Well, you know what they do.
Comedy is the mask of. Let me find it.
It's something if something went wrong, but it worked out good.
Yeah, so there's
Something
just
like
two. There's two marks basically. Each hunter, and they're not actually assigned to any particular thing, but basically, actually, this is what every hunter has to narrate something, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's true.
It doesn't matter actually.
Okay.
The first is each hunter narrates a time something went unexpectedly wrong but worked out in the end, and each hunter narrates a time something awful happened as a direct result of their failure. I'll clip this and put it in the chat so you all can read it directly.
Okay.
That way, because everyone's going to be responsible for it eventually. So,
Yep.
Lots of Janus masks today.
That's to make up for last week.
Indeed, yeah, it's good. The revenge of the Janus mask. Shall we talk, or do we want to go ahead and do Whateley Camera as well?
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Please,
Okay.
just to get it off our plate.
Yeah. Well, so what do we think? I mean,
I have a theoretical process, but I have a question.
okay.
Mechanically, could it possibly be where I mark a personal quarters item to help with the die roll?
No, that's not.
Okay.
That's against
All right.
us.
I just want to make sure. I was really gonna try there.
I mean, it might be great. It's great for the fiction, but it's not. There's no
Yeah.
mechanical benefit. To
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try everything for this one. Okay. So
The
all
process.
of these, yeah. So all of these things are in the Society Obscura to provide the circumstances for this. So from what was said before, this camera works, or this entity works off of like symbols and urges. So
Right.
it's a lot about being seen. The peacock is kind of like representative of when it opens up its feathers. I mean, like, there's all those eyes. And then the monocle, the magnifying glass, the telescope, seeing things.
Yeah, very good.
And so when it's with the cracked lenses, that means it's been used and used up by the entity's energy. And then the quartz, sapphire, and the small metal pyramid, so crystals and metals together provide like like
a grounding.
Yes, grounding, and then provide the focus for the energy to go through. The mathematical equation, I mean, to try to have that proper algorithm, and that equation is conceivably on some sort of platform or the backdrop that they use for taking the picture. So it's not visible, but it's it's on that thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's under the carpet that the person is on, or it's behind the backdrop that they're being placed against for this picture. And then the orrery of planets and moons is again symbolic of you're going to a different place. You're going, to a different space altogether. And then the gray door is its own symbol. I mean, this is the portal that you go through to get to this fragrant void. And they have the cinnamon, clove, mace, any of the warm spices burning in an incense brazier.
Mm-hmm.
I think I covered everything.
Yeah, that's.
Yes, basically, I was going to suggest almost exactly the same thing. So yeah, here for it.
I love the idea of being seen is a key part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That because that works in so many of the clues in a really cool way. that's a process. It is a process. Are there any adjustments to the process?
What's the peacock for?
It's
Again,
just symbolic of
it's
eyes because it opens
symbolic
the
of
feathers.
That's what it was. That's
See
what it
the
was.
eyes on the
I had
feathers,
totally
yeah.
forgotten that. Yeah.
No, that's and it's in a crystal cage.
Yeah.
So again, like,
It's about display.
amplifying energy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Amplifying energy.
Oh, and also, the crystal connection as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very intriguing. What
Ooh,
about the sapphire?
that gives me an idea.
Did we talk
Again,
about the sapphire?
Again, the sapphire is part of the. It's another energy source. It could be really any jewel, but I mean, just for the fact, it's like it's got a ghost in it.
Yeah, the ghost,
that's
that's
like
the key,
even
right?
more
Yeah.
intense.
Just a-
So
Yeah.
All these
medium.
crystals are kind of prisms
Yes.
refracting light,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's all to do with vision. And
That goes to vision as well. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
exactly. Crystals like quartz, sapphires, like pretty much used for clarity and energy. So, not that I know anything about it.
I'm very into this. I think it's a great process. You have 9 clues on a complexity 8. Go ahead and roll, Matt.
Everybody who's like
no
a crystal
objects.
person is going to watch this and be like, they're so wrong about how those
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
I know, and I don't care. I mean,
Sorry, crystal people.
Sorry, crystal people.
Sorry, crystal people, but this is
Trying our best.
this is never a canonical thing. This is just for our table alone.
Exactly.
All right, give me a second. God, I will use.
I do
Actually,
think
I
that
have
quartz
crystal
is
dice.
supposed to be like a channeler of energy, though, like just
It is.
with no
It is.
particular symbolism, right? Yeah.
Right. Hold on. I got.
And small metal pyramids. I've seen those on like
Mhm.
Etsy
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
They're really
I
pretty.
for this wonderfully crystal-oriented threat, I'm using my crystal dice.
Very good. I love
Sounds like good luck.
it. Let's see how it goes.
8.
8. That's
Eight's
with
good.
plus 1.
Oh no, 9. Sorry,
9,
like I
okay.
forgot to add a point. Okay, so
Very good.
A little bit up.
Now, I will tell you that my plan for the Fragrant Void is if you essentially, whenever you want to do that, I think it's going to be a whole session spent in the Fragrant Void, kind of like Brathwaite Hall was. So if you want to do that tonight, then we will just pick up next week. If you want to do something else, and then we can just have a session we set aside for the Fragrant Void. We can do that as well. So it's up to you. But
I'm glad to just resolve like that. We've just answered the question. This is great, and I'm happy to defer to another session just because it's like I'm worried about Graves and his broken leg.
yeah, Graves can't get around right now, which is
No.
a problem. Yeah. So yeah.
he
I think
has
I'm
ways of
still waiting on
projecting
information
himself.
from the Snow Queen anyway. So
Yeah. Oh, that is true. The Snow Queen owes you some info, doesn't she? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if the move that I proposed last week is good, how it's written, I think that would be a great thing to try. Unless everybody has veto power on that, though.
Remind us what it does.
Yeah. So I wrote it down there in the moves section. Let me get to it.
Of your character.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see it. During the dusk, the orphan may ask the keeper if it's possible to resolve a threat during the night by working alone. If the keeper agrees, then ask the other hunters if they will agree to narrate how they lose track of, ignore, or forget about the orphan. If they agree to and do narrate scenes, the keeper will give the orphan an opportunity to resolve the threat this night, but the orphan must take the condition Forgotten Child. Okay, so this basically would lock in the West End Wraith basically for tonight. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay,
Question.
that's good because I was going to interrupt you. So if you
Right.
do this move, I won't. But otherwise, I was going to have Dr. What's his face show up for the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So does that mean you keep Forgotten Child like forever, or just for this resolving of the threat?
No, it's just
It's just a
because
regular
I
condition.
just for attempting this, I take it as a regular condition.
Okay. So it's like it's not a permanent thing.
No, we can have a vulnerable scene next time where I'm like,
Okay.
well, I took care of that West End Wraith thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, I
And-
mean, like narratively, I mean, like I already have an excuse to try to tend to Graves's leg, and then whatever the hell happens, whatever. I mean, I was even going to suggest it's like if we were going to wait on Whateley Camera, it's like Artemis takes a little trip to see what this bout club shit is about. But
Oh, that'd
again,
be fun. Yeah,
yeah,
Artemis
I mean,
could do bout
whatever.
club because bout club can kind of only be investigated at night. So
right.
yeah,
So I
Yeah.
mean, that was
Yeah, I was
Graves'
saying to
leg and then
somebody
bout
last
club.
week it would be amazing if Artemis was like the first
yeah.
female
I think it was one of the wishes.
inductee. Yeah.
And somebody's gonna fight. What's his name? Di Pettigrew.
Yeah.
You can go.
So-
Oh man, I
Someone
really
has
wanted
to
to do
fight
that, and I've
Pettigrew.
broken my leg.
You can go fisticuffs with Di Pettigrew.
Oh,
Yeah.
Di Pettigrew's gonna bitch and complain. He's gonna be like, "You broke your leg just for this." Really?
So let's proceed with the dusk phase, shall we? Okay. Paint the scene about Hargrave House. Let's do today. Let's do the basement. The basement is cluttered with the belongings of long dead hunters who used to live in Hargrave House. What do you take from it? Add it to your personal quarters.
I think Graves takes a silver bullet, possibly left there by Sure Shot.
Very interesting. Go ahead and put that in your personal quarters.
Blakely is going to take. Oh, let's see. An 1851 Colt Navy.
Very good, very good. Just gathering up everything from Sure Shots.
Yeah,
Sure
I went
Shots
back to the old
leavings.
sheet to look at what everybody had to
my
see what I
God.
wanted.
Yeah, I mean, my picture of the basement is always like it's Sure Shot shooting range down there, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah, for a bit. Yeah.
He just shoved everything off to the side, all the
Mhm.
junk.
Fine. If we're gonna have callbacks, this is gonna be a.
I wanted to take something of Dr. Noble's, but I didn't want anything of hers. Sorry.
Well, Artemis finds down in the basement. She finds a dusty tome that seems to have the name Dr. Marissa Noble scribbled in it.
Very good. So
I'm also consulting the old character sheet to see if there's anything there.
it's riveting video. Having everyone read the old character sheet at once.
There is a monocle that was left down here. It was closed into a book, and it had notes about it, kind of scrawled around it. Says that it belonged to Sir Richard.
Very nice. And let's keep going. Be sure to note all the stuff that you found in your PQ. And let me mark the basement. Okay, what is everyone doing tonight? Well, we know what Sum is doing because Sum is going to invoke that brand new move, which is good because I was going to have Dr. Gastrell steal you away tonight, Sum. So, Artemis, you going to go to Bout Club?
I'm gonna, see about Graves' leg first.
Okay.
I think he needs it properly set before I go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I mean, you all can get like a doctor in, right? Like, it's not like.
I mean, I guess we could invite Gastrell in. I mean, like just to.
Oh yeah, Gastrell might show up and
Yeah.
Sum's not there, right? That could be
Yeah.
fun,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, like that's fine too. I mean, like
Yeah.
and then I just want to make sure that Graves.
Okay, I like
is set.
that. I think I like that as a good start to the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether we get to Bout Club or not, we'll see. But
Yeah, that's fine.
Graves, you are probably going to need medical attention. Is there anything else you're thinking of for tonight? You're muted, Rob.
given that I'm immobilized, I was thinking of, whoever needs some remote assistance in the form of Morven accompanying them, or my use of the St. Petersburg Mirror to
You can definitely
see
do
potential
remote
outcomes. So
research.
yeah, exactly. Just try and help someone from my sick bed.
Sounds
I
good.
mean, if Artemis does get to go to Bout Club, then she wouldn't mind Morven like kind of keeping an eye out. So,
Ms. Blakely, what are you up to tonight?
All plans of solving any sort of mysteries are out of Blakely's mind. She's going to go to talk to somebody who was quite familiar with Theodora Brathwaite, and we're going to pay a little visit to Admiral Flagg.
Very good. Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Let's continue on with our phase here. Janus Mask prompts, we have loads. You can save them for the dawn phase, or you can do it right now, but you each owe Mask of Comedy and Tragedy 2 things on that. And a couple of you have Masks of the Past and Future as well. So who would like to?
Well, I owe a mask from saving myself from the falling, or almost saving myself from the falling scaffolding. And if everyone is cool with it, I was thinking that it may be time for Graves to, sorry, I'm just scrolling around trying to find the thing, mark the gilded door.
Does that make you the most beloved?
It does.
Very good. Okay, done and done. Who else wants to do a Janus Mask?
Oh, let's do the first Mask of Tragedy / comedy. This sounds like comedy. This is the time when Blakely insisted that some clean up the house and move furniture about. And I think it's very early on in Sum's existence. And he is trying to do what Blakely wants, is trying to refresh the parlor or whatever it is. And he doesn't really know how to redecorate. So he just strips the place of absolutely everything. And Blakely comes in the room, is not loving it, is quite cross, but then just as he's like demurely like looking down like, oh no, what have I done? She realizes like all of the windows, it's dark and all of the windows are reflecting her, and it just gets her in a better mood. So it all worked out in the end as she like looked at her own reflection and just like narrated what she wanted to have happen with the room, and like some went back and fixed it later.
Very nice. Any more Janus Mask during the dusk phase?
I'll do the Mask of Comedy as well. Let's do that one because I've got a few masks to do. Just winging this. Back when Dr. Noble was still alive and Pope was still at Hargrave House and Shershaw was still around, there was a situation where Blakely was home and what's a good way to put this? She was in the parlor having quite a few drinks, and she decided to go exploring the house. She knows that Dr. Noble disappears somewhere and she can't figure out where. And going exploring the house, she's opening all the doors, all the nooks and crannies, and gets herself locked in a side room, very small, probably a broom closet. Blakely doesn't like small spaces, so she starts to panic, banging on the doors. Nobody can hear. This is a huge house, and she's off in the distance somewhere now. Sure, nobody cares that she's missing for a few hours, kind of thing. But once she stops panicking and starts crumpling down on herself, she finds a small iron key just shoved in the corner of this closet. She picks up the key and looks at it, and she realizes that this is a key that opens a very specific drawer in this house, a drawer that she's always wondered how to open. After some time, somebody does open the door. They do find that she is missing. Somebody discovers it and opens the door. It's not Dr. Noble, because Blakely would hate that. And when she's alone and she's calmed down, she opens it's probably Pope that opens the door, yeah. She unlocks the drawer, opens it up, and inside is, I don't know, anybody have a good idea for something that could be in the drawer? Something cool?
It's just a glowing yellow light.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like a Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction glowing light. You have
I like
no
that.
idea what it is.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's for
Sometimes it's
seasonal
good
affective
not to
disorder.
know.
Yeah.
It's good. Very good. Very good. I love it. Thank you. Who would like to go next on Janus Mask? You can always wait till the dawn.
I'll maybe do the Mask of Tragedy.
Go ahead.
I think, yeah, we see a younger Graves, a teenage Graves, bent over a desk at his grandfather's house this is after his mother's died. He's a ward of his grandfather now, the Calvinist minister. And Graves is studying the Bible, the King James Version, presumably, and his grandfather enters the room, very upright, says, "Now, boy, your recitation, please." And Graves closes the book and tries to recite the passage from the Bible that he's been instructed to learn by heart. But as he's doing so, something is whispering in his ear, and the words that come out of his mouth, without him realizing it, go from correctly quoting the passage from the Bible to speaking in some kind of language that he doesn't know. And his grandfather is just apoplectic with rage and thinks Graves is mocking him, mocking his belief, mocking his faith, and just screams at him, "Silence, boy!" And then as the scene fades, we just see him rolling up his sleeves, getting ready to administer some punishment.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any more Janus Mask?
Yeah, I think I'll try the Mask of Comedy. This is going to be completely winging it. So this is about early on in Artemis's career. monster hunting career after training and like getting out in the world, and like she had already met the little magpie princess, and you know, she was feeling good about herself and very confident and cocky. Nothing like she is now. And she had to save the neighbor's youngest son. There's like the Invernesses, like, you know, had their party, and you know, she had gone there and she met the whole bunch of boys or whatever. And so she had to save the youngest son, purported to be captured by a nest of vampires. And you know, again, a surprise. It's like, well, what's going on? And it turns out that this nest of vampires ended up being just a party rave for the youngest son coming of age. But there was one vampire that was actually there. His name was Julius. And Artemis got to meet this tall, long blonde-haired vampire whom she didn't quite suspect was a vampire until he tried to put some moves on her, and she basically threatened him with a stake through the privates and then holy water down his gullet. Or was that the other way around? And so she wanted to get a little bit of a first-hand knowledge of vampires, and in return, he also told her about his time at Hargrave House before he was a vampire, and told her about certain people that were there, and, yeah, told her about someone named Miss Blakely.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting. Whatever happened to Julius in this campaign? I have so many campaigns on the go.
Shot.
Yeah, he died pretty quickly, actually, in the Limehouse
4.
Lurker.
Episode 4.
Yeah,
Oh, very interesting.
situation. He
Yeah.
was involved in the cult.
Yep.
That's
It was
right.
either Pope or
Pope.
Sore Shot finished him off. I forget which of
Yes,
this it was.
I think it was
remember.
Pope.
Sure Shot gave him a warning shot. Pope shot him in the face.
This is the
Yeah.
one where we had like the sort of like Roman mystery cult, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
That was fun.
Very intriguing.
I have another mask if we want
Please
to keep
do.
going.
Yeah.
Some time ago, not too long ago, it couldn't have been too long ago, in the room that we saw before, the single room, not in Hargrave House, with a mattress just bare on the ground and kind of dilapidated, where we've seen scenes of this before. The door comes kind of swinging open very rapidly, and Pope comes in, and he's sweaty and looks exhausted and bedraggled, obviously just come from a hunt that didn't go well. And he has blood on him, and some comes in behind him, just covered in blood all over the front of him. And Pope is breathing hard, and he's closed the door behind you, and some does, and he says, "I cannot believe what you've done. You've bungled it, the whole thing. How could you? And to believe that could happen. What were you thinking?" "I'm sorry, sir. I just don't know my own strength. I didn't mean to cause..." "Just be quiet. Don't speak. Don't speak to me anymore." But Pope, sir, Dad, sir, don't you call me that. Don't you call me that. You disappointment, you horror. I won't be hunting with you again. And Pope goes out and slams the door behind him.
Very good. Very good. Any more Janus mask? All right then. Let us continue on with our phase. Where are we at? Okay, the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be Saint Osana's Home for the Destitute. It is the second to last row. Saint Osana's is a modest-sized workhouse with around 300 inmates. The cramped, unsanitary accommodation is segregated by age and gender, with families separated except for babes in arms. The food is meager, the work frequently pointless, and the discipline harsh and arbitrary. After lights out, the house is silent but for muffled sobs and snatches of whispered conversation. Everyone does prompt 1. Prompt 2 will be Amanda. Prompt 3 will be Mads. Prompt 4 will be Rob. And we'll take a 5-minute break. When we come back, we're going to do a pretty punchy night phase. So we'll be back in 5. St. Asana's home for the destitute. Everyone, what signs do we see that this place is not just pointlessly cruel, but deliberately so?
When they're in line to get their food, even if there's somebody that's just a little out of place, or maybe they had to tend to a child who had wandered off and away from the line, once you're stepping out of line, they don't give you your bowl.
The taskmaster, when he doles out the tasks, has a look in his eyes and the slightest upturning of his lips as he gives them out. You can tell that he enjoys this, the control he has over all of these people.
There's no glass in the windows, and there's shutters that you can close, but there's nails driven into the windowsills to prevent them from closing all the way. So it's always cold at night.
When they're going to their tasks, even the youngest children are searched for contraband, and there's a petty adherence to rules. So even things like a book or a toy are taken from them if they're found, and not returned.
Indeed. Sam, you're going off by yourself tonight. What are your preparations to encounter the Wraith?
I think he makes a point of telling everybody where he's going. I don't know if he receives any responses from anybody.
Everyone's kind of into their own thing tonight.
And I think he just walks his way there. He's not even going to try and hail a cab.
Very good. Miss Blakely, you have noticed out your window that the Snow Queen is dancing around in the square in front of your home. What do you do?
I go out to meet her. She's one of my people. If people want to think that's strange, well, then I'll talk to them. I'll give them a talking to. This is fine. She's fine.
She says, Miss Blakely, I have learned something.
Oh, do tell, Your Highness.
The Society Obscura will be completely absent tomorrow night. A perfect opportunity to do whatever it is you and your colleagues need to do. But there's more. I've learned something about your Miss Everly Gray. She's dancing around.
Oh, do tell.
I have specifically learned of someone who can speak of Miss Everly Gray. I would be happy to accompany you and take you to them. Let me assure you, you will not need to put on many clothes.
Oh my, well, you've certainly piqued my interest. Let's be off then.
Artemis, at some point during the night, there is a ring, 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 ring at the bell at the front. Ring, 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 ring.
She strides downstairs. Takes a deep breath. And then opens the door.
You see a man standing there. I don't know if you know him, Dr. Gastrell, but he introduces himself as Dr. Bartholomew Castrell, and he says, I was looking for a, he's kind of like most people do, they kind of like look in a little bit in the foyer to look at the weirdness of the house, right? He says, I was looking for, Mr. Graves and some. A few weeks ago, I had a chance to speak with them and help them with some different matters. And,
Did you say doctor?
Yes, I'm a doctor.
Oh, Mr. Graves is actually upstairs in his room. He has a
Oh.
broken leg.
Oh,
I've done
my.
my best to set it as best as I can,
Are
but
you a doctor?
I am very experienced in field medicine.
Yes. Well,
I know. I mean, the usual complaints about amateurs. I understand.
I'm certainly happy to attend him. But where is he coming in? He says, where is the sort of that rather benighted fellow, Sam? Where is he?
He's out. So he's not here right now. Unfortunately, I was tending to Mr. Graves's leg.
Oh, well, that's too bad. We had a date. Well, we were to attend an affair together, a speaking engagement. It's neither here nor there. I shall attend to Mr. Graves, and he goes upstairs. He says, "My goodness, look at this place. It's like something out of a Gothic horror novel, isn't it?"
It resembles real homes.
If you just would, light the chandeliers, it would go a long way.
Fine, I would like to see you try.
Right. Well, I'm afraid I am not a lamplighter as such, but
Indeed.
I'm certainly happy to bring the light of medicine into Mr. Graves' life. Now, where is his room?
Down here, and she leads him to
Mr. Graves,
Crawford's
before
room.
they get there, what are you doing tonight?
Graves is lying in bed, I think, at the moment, with where Artemis has been ministering to him. But I think he's preparing if she does go out to have Morven watch over her wherever she goes.
Indeed. Let's go back to St. Osana's. Amanda, Cedric Decker is a boy of 11 whose father was a wealthy wine merchant until gambling landed him in debtor's jail. As Cedric lies in his bed in the boys' wing, how do we see his sheltered upbringing has not prepared him for this place?
Cedric has always had a governess or a nanny or somebody with him to lull him to sleep, to tuck him in, make sure anything that is bothering him won't keep him awake, make sure the lights are perfect, not too dark that it's scary, not too bright that it keeps him up. And lying in bed, this sticky, smelly room, and his mattress is stuffed with prickly hay instead of the feathers that he's used to. And he can hear the snores of the other boys, and the dripping of something leaking, the cold wind blowing across him. And there's no sleeping for Cedric when all of this is happening around him, and he misses his home and he misses his dad.
Now, per the rules, you get to kind of say where the lair of the West End Wraith is, either specifically where in the music hall or if it's somewhere else in the city. But so where are you going to find him at?
I think it's higher up than the rafters. I think the way that he disappeared revealed he could pull a rope and a weight would drop and it would pull him up safely into his lair.
Very good. Yeah. So it's a busy night at the Play de Gaiety. Lots of, you see Miss Pipewell or Lady Pipewell singing on the stage. You see the crowd, the people at their tables, like very, just enjoying a fun evening. What are you doing?
I'm leaning into the perception that I belong here, and I'm using that to get backstage and get up into the rafters and seek out the lair. I
think Miss DeVere will see you in the back And she says, you're here. You must be here for a reason. Have you made some progress on the so-called West End Wraith?
We have unraveled the mystery, Miss, and I am here to dispose of the matter.
Very well.
May I say I'm sorry that it has transpired at all?
Yes. And she looks at you and she says, is it who I think it is?
One and the same. And I think I even like pull out the stack of letters, and we need not speak of it further. Honestly, though, this is not the sort of business Hargrave House is typically concerned with, but I am concerned with it, and I will take care of it this very night.
She says, very well then, you have the run of the place. And we shall now go over to Mr. Graves. And Artemis, do you go with Dr. Gastrell or do you leave him to it?
No, I mean, I lead him to Graves's room and then just watch to see if he's gonna make any comments about what she did.
He goes inside and he steps inside and he's sort of looking around your room, Mr. Graves, and says, well, and he looks back at you, or it just says to both of you, he says, this sort of funeral parlor chic is very, very, very most amusing. Mr. Graves, I see that you have been receiving, were you saying something, Madge? You're muted.
While she's behind him, she's motioning to his little beating heart thing. And it's like, hide that.
He comes in and he says, Mr. Graves, I gather you've been receiving some amateur medical care this evening.
Oh, Miss Everly Gray is quite adept. I'm afraid I've rather kept her on her toes with her medical skills recently. I seem to be a little injury prone.
Look at how she's set your leg. I fear you would end up with a bit of a wobble at the end of it, bungling about like a penguin for the rest of your life. We can't have that, can we?
And Graves kind of desperately gives a look to Artemis because he's not able to move to hide the beating heart that's sitting on display.
She'll come around to the side of his bed as Gastrell makes the comment and well, we did the best we could. We didn't know whether you actually made house calls. Thank you very much. And then she will sidle in front of the beating heart and kind of like knock it underneath the bed.
He says, my goodness, this place gets more and more strange with every passing moment, doesn't it? All right, well, let's reset that leg, shall we? Do you have spirits or perhaps something you'd like to bite down on, Mr. Graves?
Oh, Artemis, if you would be so kind as to pass me that bottle there, I'll take of a dram.
Mm-hmm.
Would you care for one, Doctor, before you set to work?
No, I don't find myself disturbed by this sort of work at all. After a while, the screaming just becomes, well, sort of background noise, doesn't it? All right, then.
You'll find him a lot more steadfast than you assume.
Ms. Everly Gray, was it? I don't actually require the assistance of a nurse this evening.
Fine. I will leave you to it. Graves, don't let him, render you further. And then she'll leave.
If you see the tragic Mr. Sum, do let him know I'm most disappointed, and indeed that the Academy will be most disappointed that we were not able to retrieve him tonight.
She will not look back, and she'll just kind of do like a weird wave as she leaves.
Miss Blakely, you can follow the Snow Queen for a time, all the way to Limehouse. And she takes you down an alleyway where there is a side door. Door is open. She says, I'm afraid I cannot cross the threshold of that door, but you shouldn't have any trouble whatsoever.
And what, dare I ask, will I find inside?
The answers you seek, Miss Blakely, the answers you seek.
Very well. Let's see what lies behind this door. And Blakely swans across the threshold.
Let's go back to Saint Osana's Mads. Millie Cooper cradles her young baby in her arms, softly murmuring stories of the baby's father, a man of noble blood. What do we learn of him?
Yeah, Millie is trying to keep her baby as comfortable and as sheltered as possible. I mean, these cramped conditions are not the best, of course, but she's like trying to comfort the baby as well as herself by speaking in a quiet voice about this man of noble blood, a gentleman who she met summer nights, dreaming of love, and trying to reassure the baby that no matter what, love will never die, but sometimes people do. And she basically tells stories of this man who was gentle and kind, but was not hardy enough to survive the cold winter or a deep sickness. And she goes back to cooing to the baby about the summer dreams and the love that is eternal.
Very good. Sam, we shall fast forward to you riding the rigging up to this very, very top attic area. It's dark, but there is a window, circular window, causing moonlight to silhouette the West End wraith from behind. And he says, "A little far from your moldering grave, aren't you, ghoul?"
I've come as far as I need to. This business must be put to an end.
Must it, though? Would you stifle true love? Would you bury it?
Let me tell you a story of love, and love that never dies. And some starts to tell the story of a woman who loved something that she created. She loved it even before it was made. She loved it so much. She carefully picked every piece of the thing that would be her object of affection. It took her time, and she was not compromising on the qualities. And though others would be disappointed or horrified, she was not. She loved it perfectly. Even in death, her child can feel her love. And all while he's telling this story in the darkness, he's moving closer, creeping closer to the wraith.
I love it. Mr. Graves, it's just you and Dr. Gastrell. He says, "Lots of curios in here, Mr. Graves. My goodness, what a strange place this house is. And well, I do wonder if this is the proper sort of place to convalesce, given the rather grim and dour nature of everything. Perhaps we could find you a little summer home, little country home, lots of sunlight, fresh air.
Oh, that's very kind, Doctor, but my tastes run to the macabre, you might say.
My goodness, look at this mirror. How fascinating. Look at the work on the frame. Very, it's a bit, well, what's the word? Off-putting in its way, but fascinating nonetheless. I do think that I've seen such things at the Theatre Grand Guignol. What is this, snakes? He's like touching the St. Petersburg mirror.
Doctor, I don't mean to be rude, but that mirror is a rather precious artifact to me. I would appreciate it if you were careful.
Yes, yes. And then he looks and he says, my goodness, these drafty old houses, they do let the fauna in, don't they? And he goes and he like swings open a window and he says, out, bird, out. And he's trying to like get your crow to fly out of the window.
Oh, Doctor, that's Morven. She's you may say a pet or a friend of.
Surely you do not keep
mine.
this carrion eater as a pet, Mr. Graves.
She's something more to me than a pet, in fact.
I don't wish to press the issue any further. Let's just see to your leg, shall we?
I would appreciate that, Doctor. Yes, I understand you find this place unusual, but
well, it's not as bad as all that. But I do think that you and I, at some point in the future, should try to meet somewhere that is, well, a little less horrifying and or filled with dead bodies. I think it would do our friendship a great deal of good.
surely in your line of work, Doctor, you're quite used to the grim and macabre surroundings.
Well, of course, I am a member of the Academy. And we shall cut over to Miss Everly Gray. Miss Everly Gray, what are you planning to do once this is done?
I'm assuming that Graves and some had gotten the next location of Bout Club. She's going to see if she can get over there.
Indeed. I think you get out. You're just barely getting through the door when you see Admiral Flagg.
Ah. Is he just waiting out there, or is he coming from his house?
I think he was coming from his house.
Ah.
Although it's creepier, I think if you just walk out, he's just standing there, right?
Well, he is not exactly your benign type of being, so
No,
I
he's
wouldn't be
not.
surprised.
He says, Miss Everly Gray, I
Ah.
am very happy to meet you here. Have you
Outside
had
of
the
your door?
chance to think about some of the things we discussed last we saw, or indeed my offer of employment?
Are you on your way out somewhere, or would you care to come inside?
I am precisely where I mean to be, Miss Everly Gray, which is right here, in this spot, on your doorstep.
Would you like to come inside into our ballroom? There's something I might want to show you.
Yes, well, I won't pass up a glass of port if you have it.
Absolutely. And so she passes the drink tray and grabs the port, go into the ballroom. I was thinking about your proposition, and I had a curious question, if that's all right.
I am most intrigued. What is the nature of your question, Miss Everly Gray?
Were you planning on stopping at London? Or were you thinking of expanding your... the reach of your weapon to possibly other places? Other realms?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Ah.
But I will not be expanding outward. We shall go downward, Miss Everly Gray.
I see.
let's cut back over to Miss Blakely. Miss Blakely, you are navigating a series of dimly lit hallways. There are people pressed up against the walls, making out, fucking, men and women alike. Various combinations. Everyone just gives you the most passing glance. How are you dressed?
Well, I think Blakely's plan was originally to visit Admiral Flag. So I think she is dressed in a semi-nautical themed evening gown, which does not suit this area at all, but she does have a jaunty little sailor's cap on, so that's nice.
You eventually reach the end of these twisting hallways and open up into an area with a bunch of people lounging about on the floors around a chair, a throne-like chair. And the person sitting on the chair says, "Beryl, it's been too long. Let's go back to St. Osana's. Rob, Walter Mctavish is a homeless ex-soldier who sleeps on the filthy straw-covered floor of the casual ward when he's not been able to beg and scrounge enough for a bed elsewhere. What has he lost in service to Queen and country?"
The most visible thing he's lost is one of his legs, and he's dressed in threadbare clothes, and at the moment he's being tended to by one of the nurses from the staff, not the most friendly or skilled attendee. But as she talks, she is speaking to him in quite blunt terms of his age and his, how he's not so much longer for this world, and has he thought about the disposition of his immortal soul, and has he made his peace with the Lord? And Mctavish just kind of scoffs at this, and says, "I no longer have any belief in those things. That the war took more than my leg from me. I don't believe any longer in your fairy tales. It took my faith as well." And the nurse just tuts, and there's a look of disgust crosses her face, and she turns away from him, leaving him to his own devices.
Son, how does the threat resolve?
Some gets to the West End Wraith and is close enough to put his hands on him, and he stands there in the dark quietly as he's concluding his story. That is a love that never dies. The thing that you have is not love. The thing that you have is a disappointment and a horror. It makes you as hideous and horrifying on the inside as some find me on the outside. And this world has too many things that do not belong. And some grabs him by the lapels and runs towards that window and just throws him out.
Very good. Mr. Graves, your leg is tended to, and you can clear the condition. You will still be hobbling about and for a good while, but at the end, Dr. Gastrell says, "Mr. Graves, I noticed that there were a number of other bedrooms and various nooks and places here in Hargrave House. Would you mind terribly if I stayed here for a while? For services rendered.
Well, Doctor, it's not really for me to say, but I can't see your skills would be unwelcome.
Yes.
However, are you sure you would feel quite comfortable in the, as you put it, the macabre decor?
Well, Mr. Graves, I'm a man who likes to explore the dark corners of this world, the dark recesses of the mind, human nature, and the intersection of that darkness with physiology is most fascinating. And I think I could do some very exceptional work here. I'm sure your fellows here won't mind.
I would caution you to have a care that your fascination with the darkness does not lead you somewhere you do not wish to be, Doctor.
Well, the place I most do not wish to be is the mixer that we have after these interminable presentation sessions, and I am missing that now, and therefore I'm most delighted. I think I shall just go set my things down in this room right over here.
Well,
and we need to light some candles, for God's sake.
It is not my place to stop you, but
He's already
I think we shall. Yeah,
Is
Greg
Everly
just
Gray.
kind of rolls his eyes and pours himself a glass of absinthe.
Ms. Everly Gray, during your conversation with Admiral Flagg, you will hear a cry of pain from upstairs in the middle of that. And Admiral Flagg will pay it no mind, just chalk it up to Hargrave House nonsense. And he tells you, yes, downward. He intends to expand his ambitions.
Interesting.
There are a great many things in the earth, Ms. Everly Gray. I certainly don't have to explain that to you. Your family certainly has lots of experience going into the dark and forgotten places of the world, do they not?
They do. But would it surprise you to know that I would like to, if possible, ask for a favor for working for you, if that could be possible?
I am most intrigued. Yes, I find your desire to negotiate a refreshing change.
Well, you seem to be wanting me to explore my less civilized side, sir, but this favor would have to do with a long-term plan of revenge.
He smiles, and we'll cut there. Miss Blakely, there is a group of people lounging about, semi-lucid, semi-dressed, in this room, and sitting on the throne, though he has cut his hair short and dyed it black, it is Julius.
That son of a... Huh.
He is currently holding a victim who has a bloody wound on their neck. And he says, "Beryl, can I offer you a drink?" And the head just lolls back and blood spurts everywhere. But we'll just cut there. And that when the night phase, let's go to the dawn. I'm going to ask everyone to hold their Janus mask until next time, just for the interest of time. whatever you have that you have to do still, so just remember it. But let's talk about rewards, because the West End Wraith was resolved. And let's grab those rewards. I shall pop them over into the chat for you. And for people watching the video, they are a perfectly balanced throwing knife added to your quarters. That would be a weird one to take because you didn't make the character that does that, but you can still have it though. A folded napkin with a lipstick kiss added to your personal quarters. The Wraith becomes a recurring side character, only if the Wraith is human and alive at the end. I don't think he is, so it doesn't seem like he is. A gossipy chat with Art. I don't think you ever met Art either. Mrs. Mccluskey becomes a recurring side character. So you can take Mrs. Mccluskey. She was the older woman from the first time. And you can have the folded napkin and you can have the balanced throwing knife. And I think Sam is probably going to take his other reward anyway for the family move. And so there's just 3 things there to pick from: Miss Everly Gray, Crawford, and Blakely.
Perfectly balanced throwing knife, please.
It is yours.
I'll take the napkin unless Blakely particularly wants it.
No, I didn't do a single thing on this mystery,
Yeah.
so
we
I'm
shall
okay
add,
with not
we
taking
shall add
anything.
Mrs. Mccluskey. You get an extra clue on the information move when you ask for information about Soho or London's gangland, interestingly. We'll add her to the move sheet real quick. Very good. And what's the move you have to do, Sam?
So you secretly help the group solve the problem. Blah, blah, blah. Instead of the reward, mark a box below. Describe how something from the recently resolved threat can be used to help the group with their problems. So the group is Pope and his family. And the problem they're suffering from, I believe we established, was some kind of external threat to them. The show is going on, and the orphan is sitting up there in the light of the moon that's coming through the window, and he's reading through the letters again, which the Wraith had a tendency to ramble and go on about other aspects of life. And I think he describes some of the contacts he had that seemed to indicate some familiarity with what was going on with Pope and his family. And after the show is over, some rides a line down to the stage and looks at Lily and kind of holds up the letter. Was everything in these true? And I think she just kind of nods.
Very good, very good. Let's keep pressing forward. Dawn questions. Everyone's getting the first 2 because you did answer a question and resolve a threat. In the interest of time, I'm just going to go to, I'm not going to do Miss Blakely. Mr. Graves, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, the soldier's leg and that
Oh,
kind
that's
of
right. Yeah, the
thing about the his loss of faith, which kind of ties into Crawford's background with his grandfather.
Yeah, I love it. Did you counsel someone using your supernatural affinities as the basis for that advice? Yes, you did. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity?
I did not this week, I don't believe.
I don't think so. But you got 4. Some, did you experience an echo in the night? Yes, you did. I remember it. The Love Never Dies reference. Were you extra gentle with someone or something because you knew how strong you did? I don't think you were. You? No, definitely not. Did you openly walk among people during the day? Yes, you did. I think with Mr. DeVere, Robert DeVere. Ms. Everly Gray, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yeah, I mean, the Love Never Dies, I was kind of lining that up
Yeah,
for
yeah.
myself, but I mean, we did it, so it's
You
great.
both did it, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you revel in the thrill of the hunt?
I mean, I was trying to hunt down somebody at the
Yeah.
society. Jesus.
I don't know if it quite worked out. Did you taste someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
My guard was way too down, so I didn't get a chance to.
I am going to also ask you to mark both an X and an O on your hunt for today.
Okay.
And let's continue on. We're going to save Janus Mess, so that's it. Let's do stars and wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I will. Started David, I really like that new move of yours. It's a really cool move. It's very appropriate for some. And yeah, it's really good. It's very thematic.
It's powerful too, because it can avoid whatever nighttime nonsense the keeper has planned.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
speaking of, I have to take the condition now for
You do.
child.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that. I liked the whole thing with Graves getting his leg broken. I don't know why, it was just so funny to me. Not to laugh at his pain or anything, but it was really good. I love everything to do with the West End Wraith. The West End Wraith is hilarious, and the whole time I just have Phantom of the Opera music in my head, and it's wonderful. So thanks for putting that character or bringing that character to life, Jason. It was very good. I really love this hilarious antagonism between Everly Grey and Blakely. It's so different from how Dr. Noble and Blakely were antagonistic. And I think Blakely's holding on pretty tight to that fight that they're having, this ongoing tension, because it's something to ground her, and she needs that right now.
I don't think Blakely has worked on one of the threats in it's been a while.
I keep getting distracted. Well, the Society Obscura stuff was trying
you were
trying to do that.
Yeah, you were trying to. That's fair.
Brathwaite just keeps getting in the way. Why is she still getting in the way? We killed her.
You killed Julius, theoretically, right?
Everyone just keeps coming back. So now I feel like it's going to have to be the thing where Julius and Blakely team up to take down Brathwaite, because that's just what happens when two bad guys come back. Two of them, you gotta team up with one to take down the other. Yeah.
Because in this case, it's like three bad guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing.
Very good. Any other stars or wishes?
This episode has been so many freaking callbacks. It's like, holy cow. I mean, it just worked out the way it worked out, and that's like stars for all of it. That was just, it's funny and awesome at the same time. So, oh my gosh, wish just to see what the hell happens. The uncle, like Robert DeVere.
Yeah.
He was great. He was hilarious. Loved it.
Yeah, he might have to show up again just because.
Just cause. Yeah. I mean, if we find ourselves near that part of town, or he happens to know somebody who knows somebody, then that would be funny just to see him again. It's like, is he a society? Is he like a gentleman society?
Yeah, he's like a rich guy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, like that probably. And then we always love seeing Flag. We always love hearing his voice. It's awesome. And then, I mean, like a lot of love never dying for sure. Okay, great. Did you plan Gastrell, or was that just just a spur of the moment thing?
It was a doctor that you all knew, and no, Gastrell was showing up to go take some to that conference. That was definitely happening.
Okay.
That was planned, but some avoided it with that move, and so, but I just decided to go ahead and have Gastrell show up still anyway. The broken leg was a good excuse.
So services rendered, he's going to hang around.
Oh, and staying at Hargrave House. Yeah, there might be something else going on there, but yeah.
Fun. Okay, great. Oh. Mine.
Either he wants something from some, or he's working for Flag as my.
Or
my
he remembers somebody that was here. So, callbacks! Yay! Yeah. Okay. Lots of stars. Just a ton of stars. And again, I mean, Not as much this time. I'm getting better, but some as usual. I mean, just wonderful. Like, pulling on our heartstrings. I mean, yeah,
For
without
the
even
sake of watchers, we were in chat bashing Pope for being mean to some.
exactly. I mean, it's just like, oh, come on, man. So yeah, we love some.
Stars, I really enjoyed. I liked a lot of the character development. We did see a lot of Janice Mass today, which was really enjoyable, and I thought all of it was really good. I thought Rob's Janice Mass scene with the grandfather in the Bible was really, really good. I enjoyed the whole cathedral sequence with Miss Blakely and doing the whole, like, I mean, it honestly did, it weirdly did kind of feel like it's Dark Souls and we're hanging around in the cathedral and all the NPCs are here, saying weird shit, like, had that kind of vibe, but I was into it partially for that reason too. But it was just fun to RP. I love the West End Wraith as a threat. It's just really, really, it's a fun threat. It sticks out because it's so, like, probably Hargrave House shouldn't even be working on it, right? like it's just so, like, it's such an outlier in a weird way in terms of that way, but it has this nice tone to it. It has a lightness to it that the other threats don't have, and the characters are fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed the West End Wraith a lot. Good session.
Yeah, I really enjoyed everyone's masks and enjoyed, because we didn't do any, if I remember, at all last week, and I had some fun with that. I thought the prompts were really cool from the comedy and tragedy, and that was enjoyable. Even though I kind of came up with something on the fly, I felt like it worked quite well with the background in my head of where Graves is from. And yeah, I really enjoyed De Vere's voice. That was another good Jason voice, and Sam's dispatching of the Wraith was appropriately dramatic. And yeah, that vulnerable scene with Artemis at the beginning was a lot of fun. And yeah, it felt like a really packed good session.
I based really Robert De Vere's voice on the Duke from Moulin Rouge, who was also like
since I've seen that, but
the Duke was obsessed with the performer at the Moulin Rouge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of going with that whole thing with Lady Pipewell, but yeah.
And wishes for next week. I enjoyed getting my leg broken. That's fun. And like I've set up some stuff that I've taken a new move from XP I got today that like is going to play into this whole notion of hopefully of like Graves being kind of bedridden and being involved in things from afar. So that's going to get my wishes kind of.
You are best equipped. You are best equipped of everybody to like continue investigating remotely, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's going to bring out some interesting opportunities. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds amazing. That's probably a wish for me, is seeing Crawford Graves stuck in Hargrave House alone in the middle of the day, trying to do his best to continue investigating, and then having a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity while he's all on his lonesome there. Because that's the scariest place to encounter, is right there in your bedroom. So I love that. That's my wish. Stars for all the Cordova characters that we got to see and hear today, because all of them they were just chock full of personality and an excellent voice work, and made every NPC felt particularly alive and unique today. So that was just delightful. I really enjoyed that like season 2 vibe that we were getting from everybody in this episode. Felt very season 2, like with all the callbacks, especially, and the character development. It's like that's what you do in season 2, is you see.
This was like a fan service episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So all that was so good. Yeah, I love Artemis trying to wheel and deal with the mastermind. That it's like it apparently is working, though we won't know until whatever happens. But I'm really into that. I'm into Crawford, like just being in his room and talking with the doctor and being with his crow, seeing some more of that happen. And I really loved Blakely going to her cathedral for an extended scene, kind of day phase at the cathedral. And I was thinking to myself, and this is probably a second wish, as that cathedral gets like more and more harsh, if it's possible, man, wouldn't it be great if a disappointment and a horror just showed up there to just looky-looing as she's trying to enjoy her cathedral. So that might be a wish for a future scene if it comes up or feels appropriate at a time. What a place to have it, a vulnerable scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
none of the other characters have ever been there, right? So that would be a really interesting thing.
In either season, I don't think anyone's ever been there. Yeah.
No. Although it's like, this would be like a far-flung wish if there's ever any time, but like Artemis being curious enough to follow Blakely when she goes to see her cathedral, and if there's anything that crops up there for her.
My wish, obviously, I'm really excited to get Julius back in the mix. Julius is such a pronounced character in my other campaigns, and so we haven't really had him much in this one, and so it'll be kind of interesting to see him kind of, and like how did he survive, like what has he been doing.
Yeah, do you recall specifically how he died? Like did he get shot in the head or shot in the chest, or
He got shot in the head
Yeah.
with the shotgun that had the apothecary's unguents in it or
Right.
on it,
Yeah.
whatever. And Blakely has his black mask full of buckshot. That's
not just you, Jason.
We're all
Yeah.
Let's mute that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh, that was unusual.
Oh, I think she
Yeah.
lost her connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there. Are you back? Is that really crazy?
Yeah.
Your video freaked
I don't know
out.
where I lost it. I mean, I like all of a sudden it's like everybody froze. I'm like, oh, great.
A
Well, yeah,
mask full of buckshot, and then it
Mask full
started
of buckshot.
to like echo and repeat.
Right. So mask. Blakely's got the mask full of buckshot. Like I think like half of it got blown off, and he was dead on the floor, and she spat on his face. So that's supposedly where we left off.
So I guess Pope just took him out for a while, and yeah, that'll be interesting to find out how he recovered.
It has been a few years, so so that's a wish. And I'm also very curious about this deal between Flag and Beverly Gray. I'm curious to see how the Pope Sum situation resolves, as it were. I'm very curious to go to the Fragrant Void. If you all want to do that, that can just be the session next week, because I anticipate it being a full session kind of thing without day or night phase. It'll be night phase for the purposes of resolving the threat, but otherwise the phase doesn't really matter.
Is that Voidwalker move for all of us?
The Voidwalker move you get after the fact.
Well, right. But I mean,
everyone gets it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely looking at that one.
Yeah. So yeah. Any other stars or wishes before we go? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.